Welcome to Meta Innovators Sports Betting, where numbers tell stories and edges are everything. To kick off for this Sunday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and look at these defenses that are doing absolutely atrocious against the run. So it kind of helps you pinpoint what play lines you want to target, what positions, etc. So for the running backs, the Bengals, they're going to be up against the Packers with Josh Jacobs. The Titans are going to be against the Raiders with Ashton Genty. The Ravens will be against the Rams, so Kieran Williams. The Dolphins are against the Chargers. So now with their guys kind of being banged up over there, they have Hassan Haskins in, which could be something sneaky to look into. The Dallas Cowboys are playing against the Panthers, which Rico Dowdle, off of a career game, number one. Number two, great game script for him because the Cowboys defense is completely atrocious. And number three, he came from Dallas to the Panthers. So there is a little minor revenge game narrative there. All right. Then the Bears are up against the Commanders. So Ja'Cory Crocky Merritt. And the Jets are against the Broncos, where J.K. Dobbins has been fielding the lead back role there, even though there's still a little bit of split carries with Harvey there, but just doing absolutely phenomenal for what he's doing. And of course, there's always an honorable mention with a gentleman named Christian McCaffrey. Doesn't matter who he's playing against. Some players are kind of matchup proof, right? So just taking some names of things that we can look at here momentarily when we are looking at these player props. And moving along to receivers, we'll go look at the matchup coverage, actually. So for the receivers, this will tell you kind of who you want to target based on the spot they're in. Like Marvin Harrison has a positive game script. Same thing can be said about Drake London, Tetaroa McMillan, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Cortland Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Devonta Adams, Puka Nacua, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, that whole trio. Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Emeka Egbuka, Terry McLaurin. So there's quite a few receivers here that would really be on the radar of props that we would want to target when we're looking to see where these lines really lie. All right, and then some honorable mentions as well, like tight ends, for example, Ferguson. CeeDee Lamb being out, this guy has been getting peppered with targets. So it's kind of fair to say you can rely on certain lines with that information. Now, let's go and turn this on. And we'll just look at the first game that's on there. So like the Broncos against the Jets as an example. We'll go to player props. We'll go to receiving. So Cortland Sutton is poised to have 61.5, Garrett Wilson 57.5, and that's their over-under. So when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, all right, 61.5. Well, where can we really go? Let's look at 25 yards. Now, they're at minus 950, minus 850. So stringing these together is like a 20% margin for you on a string of two. So you'd probably want to get 6 to 8 legs on something that is extremely safe to make yourself feel comfortable with your earning potential. Now, others may not feel the same. Others may want to go and look at, the 40-yard lines. And, that definitely gives a difference in payout metric because now it goes closer to a 66% margin. But it's definitely less safe. So what I like to personally do is make sure that all lines are as safe as possible so that way your gains continue. It's less likelihood of having the wish I could have done something different method, right? We don't want any of that. So that's just one line to look at there. Let's go look at rushing. So we have Dobbins here at 66.5. I do like the matchup for Dobbins. What does it look like? Or minus 2,500 is crazy at 25. But minus 600 at 40 yards. So 40 yards is something that would definitely feel safe, right? So now that was the Denver game. Let's go to the Chargers against Miami. So Chargers player props, the easiest thing for me to go look at here would be the receivers, where they have McConkey at 58.5, Keenan at 54.5, Quentin at 53.5. It just they're all up there. What do they look like here? Well, it shows Keenan at minus 850. That's another one that seems very safe for 25 yards. So that's something that I would look at and that I would enjoy there. I'd feel pretty confident with my money on that. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I kind of shy away from a lot of that. Although DK is in a good matchup script, I think that I don't really target many times when Pittsburgh's involved. But being that he's on Pittsburgh and not against it, there's some considerations for him because of his matchup coverage being advantageous. Now, the Patriots against the Saints, obviously we can go look at the number one guys in Olave and Diggs. Diggs is poised at 60.5, Olave at 57.5. Let's go check 25. Okay, so minus 1,100, minus 1,000 at 25 yards. Minus 325 for both at 40 yards. Minus 20. So at the 25 yard mark, even though it's still minus 1,000, minus 1,100, the line feels pretty safe, right? So once again, if you're stringing a parlay along and you're doing 6 to 8 legs, you are trying to double or triple your money with the safest bets possible, at least in my methodology, right? Now, Cardinals and Colts game. I don't know. That game, Colts are definitely favored, right? But I do feel like the game could go either way. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. is definitely somebody that's probably going to be on my player prop. Receiving, he's at 51.5. Okay, minus 575 for 25 yards. And that feels safe because that gentleman has not had less than 25 yards a game. So it just pans out. Statistically, it's working out in your favor. Now, the Rams against the Ravens, real smash spot for Kieran Williams. Let's go look at his line. 72.5 rushing yards. Let's see what 40 looks like. Minus 950 at 40. So just by the odds that are being there, minus 950 is saying there's like not really a shadow of a doubt that he gets to that level of yardage. So it would make you feel pretty comfortable, pretty confident in stringing that bet along as well. Now, Cowboys and Panthers definitely feels like one of those games where I want to have a lot of props invested in. I think Pickens, McMillan, Ferguson, these top three guys here are all players that you can probably string some props along. Same thing can be said probably for Javonte Williams. He's just been having a monster of a year. Just has not disappointed. His line is at 76.5 for rushing yards. Let's see what it looks like for 40. At 40, it's minus 1,200. So kind of crazy there. Seattle and Jacksonville. I mean, I see this game as being a pretty defensive game. So I might shy away from that. Even the line looks very similar for both of them. It's a point either way. Yeah, I'm okay with that one. The Raiders and the Titans, I do have some consideration for Ashton Genty just because he's in a smash spot. The Titans are like the second worst against the run, so Ashton Genty's line at 76.5 rushing yards. Let's go see what it looks like for 40, minus 1,200 for 40 yards. You know, that's something to consider. Same thing when you're looking at the Bengals and the Packers. I would always go consider Josh Jacobs. Let's go look at his rushing yards. Poise at 79.5. And for 40, minus 1,800. For 50, minus 750. Josh Jacobs, I feel like the line just keeps moving. He's an absolute monster, and I understand why. The Bengals aren't that great. Although Joe Flacco is now part of the company that they keep. So maybe he's able to dive in there and do a little bit better than Jake Browning, respectfully, of course. The Niners and the Bucks, two teams that are both 4-1, both really banged up. Emeka Egbuka has got to be guaranteed for some yards here. Let's see what the props are looking like for that. Receiving, he's poised for 74.5. Let's see what 40 looks like. So for 40, it's at -600. Seems like pretty safe right there. I'm definitely going to roster some of that on some of my lines. Detroit and Kansas City. This is a game that everybody probably wants to see. It's going to be one of those games where it's probably very high scoring, very entertaining, great for visual for audience. I do think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is in the second best spot on the field in any games this week. So he's something to look out for. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, because the Chiefs have been notoriously allowing a lot of rushing yards. It's just quite scary. Like, the Chiefs are not looking like the Chiefs that we once knew, but all it takes is for Patrick Mahomes to flip that switch and everything changes. So can't count any of them out. However, that makes me want to, I could target receivers on both sides of the field and probably the running backs for the Lions in there. Buffalo and Atlanta, I definitely want to get some shares of Bijan. Let's see what his rushing line is. 76.5. What about his receiving line? 29.5. What if we dumbed it down to 25? -170. Okay, so 25 receiving yards, -170. That's so good on the return of investment on that, because he has not had less than 25 yards receiving in a game yet this year. So that's just something to keep in mind. Really looking forward to that. And the same thing could be said about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. This guy is going against the Bears, who also have a very bad defense. I think this will be somebody I'll have shares of as well. Let's go check his rushing. Rushing's at 65.5. For 40, it's at -750. So something that you can definitely see play. Now, keep in mind, Terry McLaurin is back this game, so we can also go look at the receiving, see where he stands at, and it does not look like his yardage is up just yet. So we'll have to wait for that one as we get closer to Sunday football. Now, before we end up cutting this video short, let me leave you guys with 4 plays to start your parlays. So here we have it. 25 plus receiving yards for Jake Ferguson, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, and Stephon Diggs. These are guys that you're going to see in my lines. And just so you can verify this, or you can stay up to date on all the news, a few things I ask of you. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel down below. Also, go ahead and look in the description and join the Discord with the link that is right there. That way you can stay up to date with all late-breaking news, injuries, trades, last-minute decisions, my personal slips. They're all going to be right there in the Discord. Winners, losers, everything there included, so that way you can see firsthand of how this gets done. Now, it has been an absolute pleasure. Let's make this money, team.